evening. I'm Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA and Turning Point Action, together the largest conservative grassroots organizations in the country. Thanks to our work, I talk to a lot of young people on campuses, at our event, on my radio show, podcast, and social media. Said differently, I visit college campuses so you don't have to.
Charlie Kirk, a name that resonates through the halls of conservative politics, has become a polarizing figure in American discourse. From humble beginnings in suburban Chicago to the helm of a multi-million-dollar political organization, Kirk's journey embodies the American dream and its controversies. At just 30, he commands a multi-million-dollar empire, wielding influence that belies his years. But beneath the veneer of success lies a web of controversy, raising questions about the true cost of political stardom.
So if I were in high school, which I was not too long ago, I would highly suggest, first and foremost, reading all sides. And when I mean all sides, I mean all sides. I grew up learning more curriculum and books and literature more on the left.
The rise of a conservative wunderkind. Charlie Kirk's journey from an ordinary suburban teenager to a millionaire political activist is a tale that reads like a conservative Cinderella story. Born in 1993 in the Chicago suburbs, Kirk's early life gave little indication of the influential figure he'd become. But a chance encounter at Wheeling High School set the stage for his meteoric rise. In 2012, at the age of 18, he attended a youth conference at Benedictine University. It was here he crossed paths with Bill Montgomery, a retired businessman who would become his mentor and co-founder. Impressed by Kirk's passion and articulation of conservative values, Montgomery encouraged him to defer college and instead pursue political activism full-time. This pivotal moment led to the birth of Turning Point USA, a nonprofit organization aimed at promoting conservative values among college students. The early days of Turning Point USA were far from glamorous. Kirk, fresh out of high school, found himself couch surfing and living out of his car as he traveled across college campuses, spreading his message. His dedication and charisma, however, began to attract attention from established conservative figures and donors. The organization's growth was steady but unremarkable until a seismic shift in the political landscape changed everything. The 2016 presidential election campaign of Donald Trump proved to be the catalyst that Kirk and Turning Point USA needed. Kirk's unwavering support for Trump and his ability to mobilize young conservatives caught the eye of the Trump family. Soon, Kirk found himself rubbing shoulders with the likes of Donald Trump Jr. and other key figures in the Trump orbit. The association catapulted Kirk from struggling activist to a rising star in conservative circles. As Trump's presidency unfolded, Kirk's influence grew exponentially. Turning Point USA expanded rapidly, launching new initiatives and attracting more donors. Kirk became a regular figure on conservative media, his boyish looks and fiery rhetoric making him a favorite among right-wing audiences. He skillfully leveraged social media platforms to amplify his message, gaining millions of followers and establishing himself as a voice for young conservatives. Kirk's evolution from a struggling student to a millionaire political activist was nothing short of remarkable. He went from living out of his car to owning multiple properties, including a mansion in Scottsdale, Arizona. His salary from Turning Point USA skyrocketed, and he diversified his income streams through book deals, speaking engagements, and media appearances. The organization underwent a significant transformation. What started as a small nonprofit focused on campus activism grew into a multifaceted conservative empire. Turning Point USA expanded its reach beyond college campuses, launching high school programs, hosting large-scale events, and even forming a political action committee, Turning Point Action. Kirk's rise, however, wasn't without controversy. Critics accused him of building a personality cult and exploiting young conservatives for personal gain. His close alignment with the Trump administration raised questions about the independence of Turning Point USA. Despite the criticisms, Kirk's influence in conservative circles continued to grow. By his mid-20s, he'd achieved a level of wealth and influence that most people twice his age could only dream of. He had transformed from an unknown suburban teen into a millionaire conservative icon.
When he was president, young people were richer than ever before, and he will do it again. Donald Trump is on a rescue mission to revive your birthright.
The money machine. In its early years, Turning Point USA operated on a modest budget, relying heavily on small donations and volunteer efforts. But as Kirk's profile grew, particularly following the 2016 election, the organization's finances underwent a dramatic transformation. Tax filings reveal a staggering increase in revenue from just over $78,000 in 2012 to an eye-watering $39.2 million in 2020. This exponential growth reflected not just the expanding influence of the organization, but also its increasing savvy in attracting major donors. The funding sources for Turning Point USA paint a picture of a well-oiled conservative money machine. While the organization touts its grassroots support, a significant portion of its funding comes from wealthy conservative donors and foundations. These benefactors, drawn to Kirk's ability to mobilize young conservatives, have poured millions into the organization's coffers. The exact identities of many of these donors remain shrouded in secrecy, protected by the organization's nonprofit status, which has led to criticisms about lack of transparency. As Turning Point USA's bank account swelled, so did Kirk's personal wealth. His salary as the organization's leader saw a meteoric rise from a modest $27,000 in 2016 to an impressive $325,000 by 2021. This dramatic increase raised eyebrows and led to accusations of self-dealing, with critics questioning whether such compensation was appropriate for a nonprofit leader. Kirk's newfound wealth manifested most visibly in his real estate acquisitions. From his humble beginnings living out of his car, he graduated to owning multiple properties. His most notable purchase was a sprawling mansion in Scottsdale, Arizona, bought for $2.8 million in 2021. This luxurious residence, complete with a guest house and a pool, stood in stark contrast to the financial struggles he often highlighted in his rags to riches narrative. He also acquired an $855,000 condo in Longboat Key, Florida. Beyond his salary and real estate investments, he diversified his income streams through various ventures. He became a sought-after speaker on the conservative circuit, commanding hefty fees for appearances at events and conferences. His books, including The MAGA Doctrine and Campus Battlefield, not only spread his message, but also added to his personal wealth through advances and royalties. His media presence was another significant source of income. He launched The Charlie Kirk Show, a radio program and podcast that quickly gained popularity among conservative audiences. This venture, along with regular appearances on Fox News and other right-leaning outlets, not only boosted his profile, but also his bank account. The digital realm proved to be particularly lucrative for Kirk and Turning Point USA. The organization's savvy use of social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram helped build a massive online following. The digital presence translated into financial gain through increased donations, merchandise sales, and sponsorship opportunities. Kirk's personal brand, carefully cultivated online, became a valuable asset in its own right. As Kirk's wealth and influence grew, so did the scrutiny. Critics pointed to the potential conflicts of interest inherent in his role as both a nonprofit leader and a political operative. The financial success of Turning Point USA and Kirk himself became a lightning rod for debate about the ethics of profiting from political activism. One of the most persistent criticisms leveled against Kirk has been the allegation of self-dealing within Turning Point USA. Watchdog groups and investigative journalists have raised questions about the organization's financial practices, in particular the dramatic increase in his salary. Critics argue his salary inflation, coupled with Kirk's lavish lifestyle, suggests a blurring of lines between the organization's mission and personal enrichment. Another point of contention has been the accusation that Turning Point USA exploits young conservatives for profit. Critics argue the organization uses idealistic students as foot soldiers in a larger money-making enterprise. Reports of poor working conditions, high turnover rates, and a cult-like atmosphere within the organization have surfaced, painting a picture of an institution more focused on expansion and fundraising than on nurturing young conservative talent. Now it's time to hear from you. How do you think the controversies surrounding figures like Kirk affect young people's trust in political institutions and leaders? Let us know in the comments section below.